All right, Glenn. Given this new discovery, we have a few new safety precautions we need to take. Here are the new safety rules. No cursing. No swearing. That's the same thing as cursing. No drinking. No smoking. No doing the cocaine, the heroin, none of that stuff. No premarital sex.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
No taking the Lord's name in vain like you just did, you son of a bitch. Oh no, I cursed too. Shit. Fuck, I did it again! God damn it, we're all gonna be killed by Santa Claus. Oh no. Oh, the following podcast contains spoilers for Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. You have been fucking warned. Oh, I did it again.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Oh my God! Santa here? I know him.
Oh, these cookies! I gotta get the recipe from Les. Put that cookie down! Now!
Yes! This Christmas music. It's joyful and triumphant.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Benjamin Button, along with your fucking host, Miguel Magusto.
I like how you've been just cursing to introduce me lately.
Yeah, it just has to happen anymore.
It has to happen. How you doing?
I'm not bad, my man. I'm not bad. We know last week I was slowly dying of a silly little cough. It's eased up just a little bit, but
That's good. Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Still lingering, that's for sure.
Yes, lingering.
But how are you?
I'm doing good. This time of year is always busy for me, not because, families and holidays and stuff, but because of movies.
Movies.
Because they're the most important thing in the world.
They have to.
If I had to choose between my son and my wife and movies, I'd have to think.
That's sometimes you do have to do that.
Speaking of movies, Glenn, how many movies have you seen this week that you would like to discuss?
Let's take a little number count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 movies.
Ooh, that's a busy week for you.
That's not too bad. 2 of them, basically, in a technical way, I've kind of seen with you.
Yes.
Minus 1. One's, I watched by myself, but we're both talking about it, so that counts.
3 of them you saw.
What?
In it together, or if you're including the one we're about to talk about, we saw 2 in theaters together, did we not?
I always forget to review it after we do it, so I guess technically you could be right. I do be talking that shit.
Yes. But what movies are they?
The first one is going to be School Ties. I was sitting there, and then I was sitting there some more, and I said, wow, I don't think I've really seen that many Brendan Fraser movies, so I kind of want to see them. And lo and behold, a lot of his movies aren't really on some platforms, but if you do find some, they might be on HBO Max. So this is one of them, and it was actually a really solid film in my opinion.
Yeah,
it gets kind of a little washed by being being made how most movies are made, when it's a college movie. So it kind of feels like it's like one and the same of all the other ones, but I mean, other than that, it faces Brendan Fraser being a Jewish kid who's going to what's the school's name? It's not like Harvard, but one of those Ivy League schools.
Yale.
One of those.
Patron. It's not Patron. I don't know.
Patron. That's a very good school to go to.
Princeton. That's what I was thinking of.
But no, it was great how it went through all that and how great Brendan was in it and how much of a dick Matt Damon can play. Tis kind of wild. I thoroughly enjoyed it a lot. Then we watched Strange World. That's the other movie that I did not review on Letterboxd. You can go to YouTube and see what we thought about that ourselves. And then we watched a little movie called Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. We did not review that because I said, let me take in all the liquids that this movie has to offer, and you were very confused, and so was I, but I said it anyway.
That's actually pretty much exactly what you said too. I was just like, the fuck did you just say to me?
I really liked this movie. The first Knives Out movie was fantastic, and this was pretty much on par with that, but in a way it was not as mysterious as far as like what the plot was.
Yeah.
In a way. But I mean, it was still a solid film that Ryan Johnson just whipped out of his ass again. I'm happy for him. I hope he keeps making them, honestly.
Yeah.
And then I watched a little movie called Mona Lisa Smile. This was like a recommendation after I watched School Ties, so I just was like, fuck it.
That's with Kirsten Dunst is in there, right? And
Kirsten
Julia
Dunst,
Roberts.
Julia Roberts, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
I haven't seen it, but I know who's in it.
A bunch of leading ladies in this film. I thought it was pretty good. There's some characters that kind of annoyed me the more they were on the screen. More or less that they were just kind of being overwhelming, not necessarily that they were just bad, just kind of overwhelming. But I think it was a solid film, and so, you know, it's great for a lot of ladies. They love this film over on Letterboxd. They throw the word gay around a lot, which is pretty hilarious. Letterboxd is so weirdly just horny, and it freaks me out.
It is. It's very weird.
But other than that, I watched another Brendan Fraser movie. I didn't get too far in it. I was watching it last night, and I kind of fell asleep during it. Called Mrs. Winterbourne. It's kind of a mediocre movie for the most part. Brendan's great. It's just a weird plot and like tone of the movie. It's like a comedy about something that's not really comedic, I would necessarily say. But it's okay. I'm gonna try to finish it tonight after the podcast. And then of course I watched Rare Exports, which we shall get into in just a momento.
Yes.
But Mike, what did you get into?
Hold on. I saw 9 movies.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. The first one I watched, I could have sworn there was more, but whatever. The first one I watched is a movie I told you to watch called The Stranger. The Stranger is about is with Sean Harris and Joel Edgerton.
My man.
Yeah, it's your boy. And essentially, Joel Edgerton's an undercover cop, and he's doing a sting on Sean Harris. And it's a fantastic film. It's got a lot of psychological moments. It's really cool. Does great job at planting doubt in your head throughout, and just like it's a great film. I can't recommend it enough. So people should check out The Stranger. Glenn, you should definitely check out The Stranger.
I'm going to check out The Stranger.
Then I went from The Stranger to Strange World. We have a review for that on the YouTube. You can check that out there. Yeah, Disney animated movie. Find out what we thought. Then I watched a movie by Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, alumni of the podcast. I watched their latest film, Something in the Dirt. This, I don't know if it was made at like the height of the pandemic, but it definitely felt like it, because it's essentially them, and like they made it with just like 10 of their close friends or whatever. Like it wasn't like a big crew or anything. Yeah. And they just made this movie that is essentially just them throughout the entire thing, just talking. Pretty interesting. It kind of drags in the middle, but it's still a really cool concept. It's got really cool ideas. I enjoyed it overall. I was a little disappointed by it, but nothing, absolutely deal breaking. So that was Something in the Dirt. Then my lovely wife agreed. I told her. I told her back in October. I'm like, listen, Academy Award season's coming out. Award season in general is coming out. There's going to be lots of movies I'm going to want to see. You have to give me some leeway. We have to work together. If ultimately cannot go, I will not go to a movie, but I would love to try to go see as many movies as possible in theaters. And she's the greatest and said, of course, we will try to make it happen. So we made a deal that let me do a double feature on Friday. And the first movie I saw was Devotion with Jonathan Powers, I think his name is Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors and Glenn
Powell. That's why and Glenn Powell. It's essentially it's based on a true story of a black fighter pilot in the Korean War, and the adversity he had to face and everything. And for the most part, it was okay, but it had such a strong ending that it really just kind of won it for me. It does have like a little bit of like I don't even want to say like military propaganda, but it's definitely like not as anti-war as I normally like my war movies.
Yeah.
But it's still it's more about him than it is the war itself. And so I really liked it. It's got a lot of powerful moments in it. So yeah, that was Devotion. Then for the second movie of that day, I watched Bones and All, directed by Luca Guadagnino, I think is how you pronounce his last name. Guadagnino, yeah, Luca Guadagnino. It's got Taylor Russell, Timothy Chalamet, Mark Rylance, Michael Stuhlbarg. David Gordon Green is in it for a hot second, the director of the new Halloween trilogy. He's really creepy in it. I told you a little bit about his part.
You did.
So me and Luca Guadagnino rarely get along because I feel like his movies are horribly paced.
Yeah.
This was his best paced movie. I actually enjoyed it for the most part, but it, ultimately has things in it that I didn't care for, and nor did I care. It's mostly a romance, even though it's a different romance. You know me and romance, we don't really get along.
You guys don't shimmy the shake,
We don't shimmy the shake, no. And then, I was really going to give this a 4 out of 5, and then the last 20 minutes just completely ruined it. It's kind of like Luca Guadagnino went back to his old ways and just made everything more drawn out than it needed to be. It ended 20 minutes late. The song choice for the final 5 minutes was horrible. It was the worst song I've ever heard in a movie for what it was supposed to be doing. So it ultimately bumped it down to a 3.5, but it is what it is. A pretty good movie overall. Most people are going to like it. Some of the people in my theater hated it. But yeah, so it's going to be divisive, unless you're me, and then I'm going to be right down the middle. Then I watched Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. We're going to get into that in just a minute. Then I watched a British comedy called Brian and Charles, which is like a mockumentary about this guy who makes a robot. He's like a really strange guy who lives on his own. Kind of like the town weirdo and everything. And he makes a robot. And it's really, really funny for like the first 45 minutes, and then it drags on a bit, and then gets, in a good way, pretty sad towards the end. So it's just a weird movie overall. But it's good as well at the same time. Not as good as I had hoped, but I still enjoyed it. So that was Brian and Charles. If you like weird British comedies, you should definitely check that out.
They do be pretty good.
Yes. Then my lovely wife let me see another double feature on Sunday.
She's just so fantastic.
She's so fantastic. So I watched Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery with you. After the movie ran, after the credits started rolling, I turned to you and said, this is probably the one thing I wouldn't mind if they keep making it.
Yeah, you did.
Because I personally hate franchises.
Right after I said that liquid thing.
Yes. Right after you said the liquid thing, that I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, I usually hate franchises because they run things to the ground and they have no finality. And finality is a good thing. But I feel like as long as they take their time and make sure the quality is up to snuff, Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig will make continuously good Knives Out movies.
Yeah, what's nice about that too is like he's just a detective in a story. Like the story's not about him. He's just he's just
like
eyeglass into it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot or whatever his name is. Who the Kenneth Branagh movies, Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile. It's like that, but with a man from New Orleans, I'm assuming. New Orleans. And it's just funny. It's a perfect device to tell a good like mystery murder comedy. So I'm excited for them to make more. I read that Rian Johnson is going to start writing the third one when 2023 comes.
Did he do a movie in between Knives Out and this one?
I don't think he did. Let me check.
Not that he was really given a choice with the Panny D and all that. But.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he went straight into this. He went straight into this. And honestly, his best movies are murder, crime, like mysteries, like Brick, one of his first movies. Yep. That's a noir that takes place in a high school that's got a lot of really good dry humor in it. Looper is kind of a mystery, but it's more sci-fi. Yeah. But it's fine. But I love this. I can't wait for him to make more. It's a franchise that I legitimately like. So yeah. Then I watched The Fabelmans, Steven Spielberg's newest movie.
I saw you had some words about that one.
I did. I think most people are going to disagree with me, but that is because of my expectations going in. What I expected to see. So I said the words that he is referring to. I said The Fabelmans is the most disappointing movie of the year. And that is only because I went in expecting to see something similar to my life growing up as a child. And the thing that disappoints me the most is that film, while a big part of it, is not as big as you would think it would be. It's mostly about his parents' divorce. So I felt kind of duped in that sense. And that's not like a spoiler alert. It's a well-known fact that it's about his divorce and everything. So I hope people don't think I spoiled something. But it's just, it felt like it lacked focus. Like the first... I was texting our friend John Clark, friend of the podcast, John Clark, of
He's
course.
our friend.
And I said, the first act gave me tears in my eyes pretty much every 5 minutes. Never full out cry, but tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
The second act made me roll my eyes a lot, and then the third act had me covering my eyes in secondhand embarrassment.
Oh, man.
So it was just like
So
a
the water was
downward-
on, but the sprinklers weren't letting out, and then it all just sucked it back in.
It was a downward spiral. And the parts about film are truly great, and I felt very relatable to me because a lot of it, was similar to my upbringing with going to the movies and everything. As close as it can be without being Jewish or being in the 1950s and 60s. The part about his family was fine. I just felt like I was kind of deceived because it wasn't what it didn't wrap in with the film as much as I thought. So it felt very unfocused, and it felt like he picked 20 random memories from his childhood and threw them into a hat. Or he wrote down like 50 of them and picked 20 at random out of a hat, and that's how he wrote the movie. That's what it felt like. But yeah, not a bad movie. It's got decent acting. Michelle Williams is kind of over the top, but I feel like that's probably how his mom might have been. A little bit manic depressive and everything. So I'm not. I don't want to say it was a bad performance, but it just kind of felt weird.
Off.
And then felt off exactly. And mostly it just wasn't what I was expecting, and that was disappointing because I was going in expecting to see kind of something I could relate to a lot, and it was something I didn't relate to much at all. So that's that. Most people are probably going to love it. Everyone I've been talking to them, I say, do not listen to me. Go in and make your own opinion. That goes for you too, Glenn. You should make your own opinion.
I'll never
about
do
Fabelmans.
that. You've neutered me in so many ways.
I've neutered you. I've cut your balls off. That's exactly what I did. So anyway, that's all I saw this week. Let's get into Rare Exports.
It's the most magical time of the year. When traditions are honored. And the youngest among us still believe in the spirit of the season.
We found something else than just plain rocks and dirt.
This mountain is like a giant ice box.
For storing what?
Drill deeper. Bear the dynamite. You have a grave to rob.
Minkälaiset sudet tekee? Hyvää joulua.
Isä! Vetti on viety!
In the depths of the Corvatanturi Mountains, I didn't stutter that time, 486 meters deep lies the closest ever guarded secret of Christmas. The time has come to dig it up. This Christmas, everyone will believe in Santa Claus. Directed by Hjalmari Helander, written by Hjalmari Helander and Juuso Helander and Petri Jokiranta. It is starring Jorma Tamila, Oni Tamila, Peter Jacobi, and Tommi Korpela. and several other names, which I am not going to try to butcher, except for Jonathan Hutchings. I know how to pronounce that because that
was a tough one. I'm actually surprised you got that one.
That is the one American person in this entire movie. But yeah, this, of course, I picked this because I had watched it in 2010, barely remembered it with the exception of part of the end, but I remembered I liked it, so I wanted to give it another go and also share it with the world because I feel like we need more weird Christmas movies. And this
people's
certainly
eyes
was.
need to see things.
Yes, people's eyes need to see things, and this was definitely a weird Christmas movie. So before I go into my thoughts about my second viewing, Glenn, tell me a little bit about your first viewing.
I'll tell you what, I wasn't knowing anything about what I was going into. And when I saw some naked gentlemen, I said, wow, this is exactly what I was expecting going into this. And I said, let's multiply that by about 150 of those. And I'm thankful every day that I sit down at my bed and pray to Jesus that he like made something like this, you know? I'm just spitting a pitch perfect day in my life.
Thank you, Jesus, for 150 old men. More naked old men than I saw in the YMCA gym.
Thank you, Jesus, for all those tallywhackers flying left and right. But no, this was a goofy movie. Like it at any moment in its runtime, it could have just went over the top and ridiculous, but it kind of stayed, lack of a better word, grounded to what it was.
Yeah.
Because it's serious about what it is, and what it is ridiculous. But
absolutely.
But it doesn't overstep its place in like going over the top comedy, or well, a little bit in over the top action. But it's like it's funny how it does that.
Yeah, it kind of felt like an 80s movie.
It's like a cheesy 80s movie that's not, Arnold. Mm-hmm. You could imagine Arnold being in it, but it's not. It's not there, and it's grounding itself to it.
Yeah.
This movie is all types of goofy as shit.
Yeah.
And dear God, how do we jump into talking about that?
Well, it definitely plays itself as straight. Like it doesn't. It's a funny movie, but it doesn't play itself as if it's funny. Like everything in this is 100% serious.
Yeah,
but
it's not going for the laughs.
Yeah, it's not going for the laughs.
Funny.
Yeah, it knows the laughs are going to be there, but it's not going for them. But the thing that I don't want to say surprised me, but that like I completely am shocked I didn't remember is how much the main like business guy with the hat and glasses in the beginning reminded me of a Indiana Jones villain.
Yeah, I like, had Scrooge in my head the whole time.
Scrooge too, yeah, but he just feels like a Nazi looking for the Ark of the Covenant. And, and the fact that I didn't pick up on the first time kind of makes me ashamed. To call myself a film buff.
How dare you?
And then, like, once he realizes that Santa Claus is indeed buried underneath that mountain, the seriousness of the nice and naughty list with, like, all the rules and everything, and just how quickly it becomes, like, this over-the-top thing where it's like, oh, you can't curse, you can't swear, or anything.
You can't smoke cigarettes or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just really funny. And then I kind of did probably more research with this than I do most movies we discuss because, there was never a point in this where the kids were excited that Santa Claus was real and he was coming. Mm-hmm. And so I looked into what Finnish people, the story of Santa is with them. And it kind of is what the main kid, I think his name is, Pietari, what he finds out, where like Santa is kind of like a combination of Santa and Krampus, where he's like this demon that punishes naughty children, and he'll reward good children, but he also punishes naughty children. And just the fact that these Finnish men, I'm assuming they're all men, who were so scarred as children with the story of Santa Claus to make this Christmas horror movie. I just thought that was great. You know,
Oh, yeah.
taking these little differences, as Pietari says, it's not like the Coca-Cola Santa.
Yep.
I think he says not that Coca-Cola shit or something at one point. It was just fun to see. You know, I love seeing how different people celebrate Christmas. That's kind of why I like the whole idea of Krampus, because that's a German. I believe comes from Germany.
Yeah.
Belief where Krampus comes on December 6th, I want to say, and kidnaps naughty children. And then this just combines the two of Krampus and Santa in the land that Santa is actually supposed to live, in Lapland, in Finland. So, yeah, I feel like their idea of Santa, if any, is more real than any others.
I mean, it's got to be, you know, with the horns and all.
Yes.
And even
huge too. He was a big,
oh my God,
he was a thick boy. Damn boy,
man was forbidden and frugal. Man, yeah, it was actually really cool to see, because when the air quotes Santa is caught and everything, you're like, oh, man, this guy is freaky as shit looking. Like,
yeah, he was the quote unquote Santa I referred to last week, saying he was super creepy, completely forgetting that he's not indeed Santa.
Yeah, they find this guy trapped in the wolf trap that the father made illegally, and they assume that it's Santa, because obviously he's on the loose from this little expedition of mining they've been doing. And all signs lead to this being Santa, i.e. the goddamn white beard and old ass body this man has. And like the way he's in this warehouse, just kind of like hunched over and just
naked, of course, as is
naked,
tradition.
Dong flopping, flailing. He's just so skinny and menacing, and just with his stares and everything, you're like, oh man, this is awesome. Like the movie had a comedic tone for most of the time, but this, you're like, oh shit, anything could pop off right now, what he's about to do. And then nothing really does happen, but it's so menacing, wondering what's going to happen. And then you find out that's not actually Santa. He's just a helper. He's just one of the air quote elves that helps the actual Santa. And they show what that Mr. Claus actually looks like in this giant block of ice. And it's so menacing, and you don't actually even get to see what it looks like. You just see the horns and the eyes, but not what it actually looks like. And it left me wanting to see what he actually looked like. I don't know if there's a second one, or if like they ever actually show the concept other than what's in those little fables of books, the fairy tale books, or not. But oh man, it would have been really cool to fucking see what they had planned for its looks. Yeah,
it really would have been. It's just such a. It really is like the tale of three movies, where like the first part feels like an Indiana Jones movie with the rich asshole who's digging up everything. Then it kind of goes into like a horror territory where the livestock are dying, the reindeer are dying, and they can't explain why. And then Pietari sees footsteps on his roof, and just building this tension. And then when they catch the little helper, and that's its whole, that feels like a Hostel or a Saw horror movie there.
Yeah.
And then the final part feels like a full-on 80s action movie, explosions and all, with Pietari having quite possibly the funniest lines and everything.
Dude, kid was badass as shit.
He was badass, where he's having his own Arnold Schwarzenegger moment, where he's hanging from the helicopter, and Pietarian and the guy flying the helicopter, he says, I can't get you if you go down there. And he just says, I'm not coming back.
I don't plan on coming back. And then just
jumps off that
jumps off backwards, the face all scrunched up and everything.
Yeah, kid was ready to sacrifice himself for the greater good. And it's such a fun fact, like you could tell they had fun making this, and
Oh, yeah.
and I love it. Some movies like that aren't great, but if you can at least tell they had fun making it, I'm much easier going on them than like if it looks like they had a horrible time making it and it's not a good movie. But this was both, where it's a good movie and you could tell they had a blast making it. And on top of all of that, it made me really want gingerbread.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
They eat a lot of gingerbread in this, and I'm like, that shit looks good, and it looks better than any gingerbread I have.
We have here,
US.
where it's just basically unedible after you make it.
I mean, I still eat it, but yeah, it's pretty unedible. But yeah, it's just such a fun movie. And
this movie at any point could have crossed the line on like going overboard on itself, but it never strayed its foot across. It was weirdly well done.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree that the most controversial part about this is that they go from reindeer farmers to slave traders. Trading. After they kill Santa, they have all these Santa's little helpers that they turn into Santa Clauses to send out to the world. It's such a weird concept that there's an actual like end to the means and everything. And
you never really know why it's called rare exports until the end.
You're just like, okay, is it the rich guy that's exporting things?
Yep.
And then they the whole thing's just leading up to them creating this company to essentially send out free Santas. Which how do you even begin to like explain that to someone?
I couldn't tell you.
This is a remote town in Finland where like the biggest thing that's happening is people's radiators are going missing. When their kids go missing, they're not even concerned. Yeah, they're not even concerned where their kids go missing. They're just like, oh yeah, they're going to be back. Don't worry about it. And like, how do you just be like, oh yeah, these are Santa's little helpers. Or if you don't even go that far, these are people dressed as Santa. They're trained to be Santa. We're going to send them in a box to you.
Yeah, just get ready. He's coming. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yes, he is. But that just adds to like the ridiculousness of it all, and it's great. But yeah, I love the performances in it, especially Oni Tamila, who plays Pietari. He's just like, I don't know. He just, for being so small, like commands the screen. He takes charge anytime.
Especially that last half too.
Oh, absolutely. He's a fucking hero we all need.
Yeah, I salute him every day now. Going forward.
I don't have too much else to say about this. I'm really glad I picked this. I'm glad I rewatched it. I hope I remember it more this time around. Yeah, but it's a really fun movie.
I'm also glad you picked it. It is a blessing to my eyes and my wonders going forward in life. And I'm going to enjoy the liquids that it has to give me,
I hope that doesn't become a thing for you, where that's just something you say.
It's at least this week thing.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, so that does it for the review of Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. This was my pick, so I get to go first. I love Nordic countries. My family hails from Nordic countries. There's always a little bit something special going on whenever I watch Nordic things happening.
Fuzzy feeling.
Fuzzy feeling. And even if that wasn't the case, I would still love this movie. It's a funny movie. It's a fun movie. It knows what it is and doesn't try to be anything else, and doesn't have like some hidden agenda that I feel like if an American movie was made, it would try to have. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it does oftentimes create weird tonal issues. But yeah, creepy, funny, hilarious, fun, adventurous. Bad CGI, but you don't mind because it's not a big blockbuster movie like the MCU that has CGI. This is just a low budget movie that has bad CGI, so it's forgivable. This does go on the shelf.
I would say the same. I think it does go on the shelf. It's funny. It is quite honestly a treat for the festive palate.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm looking. Did they make I guess this was originally a short film back in 2003.
I saw that too. Yeah, with the same adult actors, Jorma Tamila, Tommy Corpella, and Rauno Jovonen.
That's pretty cool that they were able to, like 7 years later, just make this movie.
Yeah. It must be nice.
Must be nice,
Must be nice.
You just gotta wait 7 years.
If any rich people are listening to this, I'm trying to find funding for my feature film, Eugene versus Humanity. Please contact us. Shameless plug there.
And it's okay.
Rich people don't have any idea how good they have it. They really don't.
I'm pretty sure they do, and they don't.
They probably
You're right.
do. They probably do. Anyway, Rare Exports does make it on the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for next week. We're continuing on our holiday journey to watch all the holiday movies we possibly can. Only this time, Glenn, it is your pick. What festivities are you bringing to us?
I figured since last week, or technically this week, you chose a movie that could have possibly been over the top, but luckily it wasn't. Now, I possibly could be giving you a movie that is quite over the top, and I watched the first...
Sylvester Stallone?
Sylvester Stallone, that goddamn hero too. But this is another movie where I watched the first 2 minutes, and I was like, well, I can't not watch this at this point. And if it's possible, I think you and I should watch this together, because I feel like we won't have the same reaction if we don't watch it together. And I'm going to say the name of the movie, and honestly, that's kind of all I want to tell you.
Okay.
Santa Jaws.
2018, I take it?
It's 2018, yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Only found on Amazon Prime. Santa Jaws, a young, aspiring comic book artist, is gifted a mysterious pen that brings his drawings to life. Now his creation, Santa Jaws, begins to devour his family, and the remaining must battle for survival against this creature.
I both love and hate this country.
Yeah, this
world.
This is something. In the first 2 minutes, I was like, we can't not watch this movie. So, yeah. Directed by Misty Talley, hoping it's Talley. Starring Reed Miller, Courtney Lauren Cummings, and Jim Clark. We've got Santa Jaws, everybody. Santa Jaws is coming to town.
Can't believe you would do this on Christmas Eve.
You're grounded.
What? Tomorrow is the Christmas Eve comic book party.
Well, you should have thought of that before.
You're better off without him. Isn't that right, Santa Jaws?
Cody! That is not a shark! That is Santa Jaws! I know her! I made her! That is her!
You son of a fish.
Ho, ho. Ho, ho. Ho, 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 ho. I'm sure that joke is made in this somehow.
It's gotta be.
I am equally appalled, offended, and excited all at the same time that this is what you would pick.
Yeah.
The poster is atrocious.
It's bad, yeah.
The lighting in the trailer is atrocious. The CGI I just saw is atrocious.
Yeah, everything about this screams harmony, and I'm ready.
Something tells me we're going to have a magical experience with this. So, yes, Santa Jaws is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we're Keystone_film_review. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I am Glenn, KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we go ho, ho. Ho, ho. Ho, 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 ho. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.